Welcome to British BioMedicine Institute. Today Dr. Pramod Khatri, is going to represent a simple topic named as digestive system. So in the overview of digestive system, there are two main groups of organs which helps in digestion. The first one is your alimentary canal, and it consists of mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small bowel and large bowel, whereas your accessory digestive organs are your teeth, tongue, gallbladder, salivary glands, liver and pancreas. So the pharynx and the oral cavity, these are the superior to the oral cavity, which are hard palate as composed of maxillary and palatine bones. So superior and posterior to the oral cavity are the internal layers, and from the internal layers, if we go posteriorly, we will find external layers or nostrils. Posterior to the hard palate is the soft palate. This is muscular tissue that is moved during the swallowing. Hanging from soft palate is a conical structure known as vulva. The two nasal cavities are separated by the nasal septum, which are formed by the union of vomer and perpendicular palate of ethmoid bones. So there are three areas in the oral cavity. First one is your oropharynx, which is a soft palate to epiglottis. There are two sets of tonsils. First one is palatine and second one is lingual. The tonsil remove pathogens that enter the pharynx and they contain lymphocytes. Second one is your nasopharynx. They are located in the superior and the posterior to the soft palate, and they contain pharyngeal tonsils and tubal tonsils. The third one is your laryngopharynx. It is inferior to the epiglottis and posterior to the larynx. This division opens into the esophagus and larynx. So how does digestion occurs? So basically there are six main processes. First one is your ingestion, propulsion and peristalsis. It is an alternative way of the muscular contraction and relaxation in the primary digestive organ. The end result is to squeeze food from one part of the system to another. And the third one is your mechanical digestion, which is a physical preparation of food for digestion. Segmentation, mixing of food in the intestine with digestive juices. Fourth is your chemical digestion, where carbohydrate, fat, proteins, they are broken down by the various enzymes. Fifth one is your absorption, transfer of digested portion of food into blood from the digestive canal. And defecation is the sixth point, where your waste material is being removed by the body. So now comes the histology of digestive system. All the alimentary canal, they have four same layers. First one is mucosa, which is the innermost layer. Submucosa, it contains neuromuscular bundles, and muscularis externa, it is the second layer of smooth muscles. And fourth is your serosa. It is the outermost layer made up of visceral peritoneum. The food enters in the GI tract at the mouth. It is chewed, manipulated by the tongue and moistened by the saliva. So mouth has two parts. First is your vestibule. It is a space between cheek and teeth. Whereas oral cavity proper, it is a space between the teeth. Next is the tongue. It is a skeleton muscle. It mixes the food with the saliva into a compact mass known as bolus. Next is your lingual frenulum. It attaches the tongue to the floor of the mouth and prevents posterior movement of the tongue. Salivary glands. So basically there are two muscles which are present inside the cheek, and the digastric muscles open the jaw. The masseter muscles close the jaw. The masseters insert on the mandible, and superficial to part of meatus and anterior to the ear is a large parotid gland. This gland produces salivary amylase, ptyalin, which is a digestive enzyme. The parotid gland is a granular. It is attached by fascia. It is also the largest of salivary gland. The parotid empty into parotid duct, which empty into the two large molars at the angle of the jaw. The parotid gland is a exocrine gland. The exocrine gland empty via a duct at a specific location. The other type of gland is endocrine gland, which empty directly into the bloodstream. The caudal and ventral to the parotid glands is submandibular gland, also known as submaxillary. The submaxillary duct empty this gland. It runs on the lateral aspect of digastric muscles. This gland carries saliva into the angle of lower jaw. The sublingual gland is on the submaxillary duct. It is wedge-shaped and it is lateral to digastric muscles. The dorsal and ventral facial nerves, they run around the outline of meatus muscles. These nerves come out in front of ear from the stylomastoid foramen and branches across the faces. So now comes the opening of pharynx. First one is your mouth and left and right nasal passages. Eustachian tube which connect middle ear to the throat. Larynx. Esophagus. So now comes swallowing. It is a reflex, and when the mouth closes, the soft palate is pushed superiorly and closes the nasal passages. A splinter valve close off the eustachian tubes. The glottis close and respiration will stop. The glottis also bend and close the entrance of the larynx. The esophagus is opened by pressure of the food. This allows epiglottis to open. The food then enters into the esophagus. Teeth. It is very similar to the bone. There are three major components. First one is hydroxyapatite. Second is bone collagen. And third are cells. The pH of the mouth is usually 7.2. There are acids in the mouth that come out from three different sources. First one can be your stomach acid, which can come during vomiting, food, and waste product of mouth bacteria. Now comes tooth enamel. Enamel is the hardest substance in the body. The pulp cavity contains arteries, veins, and nerves. And alveolus is made up of alveolar bone. The root, they are made up of dentin. Gingiva are your gum bones. And periodontal membrane are the periosteum found inside the tooth. Cementum, it is the material which holds the tooth in the alveolus. So now comes incisor, chisel shape for nipping the food. Canines, cone shape for tearing the food. Premolar and molar, they helps in grinding of the food. And there are 32 teeth in a permanent dentation. 20 teeth in deciduous dentation. The digestive system function is to physically and chemically break down food product so that they can be absorbed and transported to the cells. The carbohydrates are the three major sources of biochemical energy. They include sugar and starches. They are eventually broken down into monosaccharides, which are simple sugar. Protein. They are broken down into the amino acids, and amino acids are the chemical building blocks of protein. The proteins are necessary part of cell membrane and nucleic acids, which consist of DNA and RNA. Lipids. Lipids are broken down to the fatty acids and glycerols. Lipids are very large molecule and they cannot be directly absorbed. They are broken down by the enzymes which are organic catalyst. They are very specific for each chemical reaction and functions to speed up the reaction. The name of enzyme usually end with ase, like amylase, and they can give a clue to its function. For example, lipase is an enzyme which catalyzes the breakdown of lipase or your fat and oils. Now comes the chewing or mastication. It helps the digestive process by mixing food with digestive enzyme in saliva. It increases surface area of the food and making movement of the food easier. Saliva. It contains ptyalin and salivary amylase. These are the enzymes that break down starches. These enzymes are only active under certain pH conditions. The pH of mouth is usually between 7.2 and slightly alkaline as 7 directly in the middle of the scale. So it ranges between 7.2 or 7.3. When the solid food it reaches the stomach, the pH drop by 3. It can be very acidic and the ptyalin is no longer active at this pH. Once food is swallowed, the smooth muscles in the esophagus carries the bolus to peristalsis, and once food enters the esophagus, peristalsis is automatic. In fact, the food can successfully reach the stomach while standing on your hands. The bolus enters the stomach by passing through the gastroesophageal sphincter. It is held shut by the contraction of muscles. The wall of stomach have 3 muscle layers. These muscles do not contract together, they contract out of synchronizing. These enable the muscles to mix and churn the food in the body of the stomach. The mixing is with water, hydrochloric acid which is being produced by the stomach, and pepsin. The mixture is known as chyme. The release of chyme is regulated by pyloric sphincter. And stomach also has longitudinal folds with the lumen. These folds are known as rogue, which increase surface area of the stomach. Small intestine is divided into 3 parts. First one is your duodenum, which is 10-inch long. Second is jejunum, which is 8 feet long. And third is your ileum, which is 11 feet long. The small intestine produces 7 different enzymes. There are total 17 enzymes that are dumped into the duodenum for digestion. The small intestine is the area where most of the digestion will happen. It is also the place where 74% of absorption of nutrients will occur. The absorptive area is increased by your circular folds known as placia circularis, microscopic villi, and microvilli. These structures increase the surface area of small intestine by 600x or 600 times. Within the placia circularis and artery, capillary, and veins. These veins drain into hepatic portal system, which ultimately drain into the liver and inferior vena cava. There are also lymphatic drainage via lacteals, which drain into the cisterna chyli. These drain into thoracic duct. The segmental peristalsis occurs in a small intestine. These segmentation result in a sausage-appearing structure. Ileocecal vein or sphincter, they regulate flow into the large intestine. They also prevent backflow from the large intestine into the small intestine. So this is a diagram of a intestinal secretion where your duodenum, jejunum, pancreas, spleen, stomach esophagus, they are clearly visible in the diagram. Now comes the large intestine. It is 5 feet long. The cecum extends as a 2.5-inch blind sac caudally from the sphincter. Of the cecum is the appendix. There is currently no purpose of the appendix. Some research is pointing toward an immune function. From the cecum is a ascending colon which is 5 inches and it is retroperitoneal. The right colic flexor leads to transverse colon which is 15 inches and left colic flexor leads to descending colon which is 10 inches and it is retroperitoneal. The descending colon leads to sigmoid colon. The name changes at the sigmoid flexor. The rectum, which is 5 inches, leads to anal canal, which is 7 inches. The final sphincter into the tract is sphincter ani. The sigmoid and rectum are also retroperitoneal. The transverse colon hangs on a piece of mesocolic ligament. It hangs in umbilical region. The longitudinal band of muscles in the colon are 3 bands that do not comply surround the structure. The only part of the large intestine that have complete muscle coverage is the rectum. So this is a diagram of a person where your parotid glands, esophagus, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, pylorus of stomach and fundus of stomach are clearly visible. The muscle act like a drawstring that contract the colon into little pouches. These pouches are called haustra. The material that reaches the colon in undigested or in undigestible form. Bacteria live in colon. These are important for synthesis of vitamin B12 and K. The other bacteria are responsible for destroying the bad bacteria. E. coli is an example. The sphincter ani is an involuntary smooth muscle. The defecation reflex, which is kept in control by the sigmoid flexors and peristaltic activity. When peristaltic occurs, the sphincter ani relaxes and external sphincter, which is a skeleton muscles, can oppose the sphincter ani. This allows you to hold it in until you find a bathroom. The first part and the part of second, third of the esophagus are also made up of skeleton muscles. The rest of GI tract is a smooth muscle. Some definitions are: secretion, discharge of material which has been synthesized by the cell; excretion, discharge of metabolic waste which has been produced by the cells like your skin, sweat glands, lungs, feces and kidney. Liver, it has 5 main functions. First one is your detoxification of blood, carbohydrate metabolism, which is where glycogenesis, it is a formation of glycogen from excess glucose in circulation, and glycogenolysis, breakdown of glycogen in the time of fasting. Glyconeogenesis, formation of glucose by hepatocyte from the raw material. And third is your lipid metabolism, synthesize large quantity of cholesterols and phospholipids, and oxidizing triglycerides to produce energy. Fourth is your protein synthesis, and fifth is your secretion of bile juice. Bile contains bile salt, water, pigment, cholesterol and lecithin. It is basically a phospholipid. Bile salt act like detergent and emulsifying fat, make fat form into small droplets that are more soluble. Greater surface area make it more digestible. Bile is stored in a gallbladder where it is concentrated. When fat is detected in the duodenum, the gallbladder contracts and bile is discharged into it. The common bile duct comes into the first inches of the duodenum. Its opening is known as ampulla of Vater. The opening is controlled by sphincter of Oddi. This sphincter relaxes when gallbladder contracts. So now comes pancreas. Pancreas produce approximately 10 enzymes which are responsible for digestion. The pancreatic duct carries these enzymes directly into the common bile duct. Sometimes it empties directly into the duodenum. It also secretes bicarbonate which neutralize duodenum contents. The islets of Langerhans, they produced insulin and glycogen. Spleen, it helps in store of blood, produce white blood cells. It is a part of lymphatic system and found mid-axillary, deep to ribs 9 to 11 and superior to TPL. So this was all about your presentation on digestive system. I hope you have gained a lot of clinical information through this presentation. Please like, share, comment our YouTube channel named as British BioMedicine Institute. Good luck. Goodbye.